Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, man, you guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history. And in this video, man, I want to talk about some comments that I heard Rasheed Wallace made. Shout out to my man Too Raw for Sports. I was listening to a video that he made from a couple of days ago, I believe it was, about Rasheed Wallace. And once again, Rasheed Wallace continues to lie about Michael Jordan, and not only lie about Michael Jordan, but once again, not tell you the whole truth about Michael Jordan. These guys won't give you any context or perspective. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, like what they're trying to do here. You know, when they speak about Michael Jordan, it only really comes about Michael Jordan for some reason, that these guys don't really seem to understand Michael Jordan's career. Like, I'm confused here. Like, Michael Jordan is easily one of the game's greatest players, if not the greatest player, but somehow, some way, the other players that played in the NBA in that same very league that he's known for, they don't know Michael Jordan. And this guy here talking some stuff about Scottie Pippen guarding the other team's best players, and Michael Jordan wasn't all that on defense and things of that nature, that, you know, how much Scottie Pippen did for the Chicago Bulls. And like I said, once again, we're going to talk about in this video because they're missing the point here, and they're not giving you the full context or the full story. And this is why I say they're being disingenuous, a lot of these ex-players, when it comes to Michael Jordan's career. And that's what we're going to talk about, guys. And I want to thank you guys once again, man, everyone across the world, everyone across the states has been supporting my channel, guys. You guys know I am truly humbled by all support. Shout out to everybody in the membership. Thank you very much, guys, for rolling with me, man. We must continue to stand up against this nonsense. It's crazy, man. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, shout out to my man Too Raw for Sports. Once again, like I said, I saw a video that he did from a couple of days ago, I believe it was, about some comments that Rasheed Wallace made about Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the defensive abilities of Scottie Pippen, the impact of Scottie Pippen on the Chicago Bulls, what he meant to Michael Jordan, and just this idea. And I've heard this before from other people, not just from Rasheed Wallace, but I've heard other idiots say these kinds of things, man. A lot of the LeBron James fans mostly talk about what Scottie Pippen did for the Chicago Bulls, for Michael Jordan on the defensive end, as far as, oh, Scottie Pippen had to guard the other team's best player because Michael Jordan couldn't do it, because he was a better defensive player, all these things. And they try to make you believe that points to Scottie Pippen being the greater defender. And this is what Rasheed Wallace was talking about. And once again, when you talk like that, you expose yourself as not understanding Michael Jordan's career, the dynamic between him and Scottie Pippen. I mean, my goodness, like I said, guys, I've never played professionally. I've never said I could beat any of these guys one-on-one, or I could play in the NBA. None of this stuff. I've told you what, that a lot of these guys in the NBA, they do not know the history of the game. They don't. And it's obvious when they speak. It's so obvious. And they, what, guys? I've told you what else. They're being disingenuous. They don't respect the history of the game, and they were not watching this stuff. They did not watch this stuff. Growing up, like I did, like many of us did, watched it. We witnessed this happen on TV, on the video footage. It's there. We watched it happen. This is why I tell you, they're trying to rewrite the history. They're trying to change what we watched. That was one of the main reasons why I started the channel. I was like, what the hell are these people talking about? That's not what I remember watching. And all of a sudden now they're trying to bend reality and change the history that we watched growing up. Now all of a sudden, Scottie Pippen is Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan is Scottie Pippen somehow, some way. Don't add up, guys. That's not the reality. So let's think about this now. When Rasheed Wallace talks about Scottie Pippen guarding the other team's best player on the perimeter, night in and night out, on the Chicago Bulls, or consistently, let's say, on the Chicago Bulls. Now, when we think about that, or you make a statement like that, once again, you're not giving any evidence or context behind this, because the facts remain. And what Rasheed Wallace won't talk about is, is Scottie Pippen being guarded by the other team's great perimeter defenders? He's not. Is anyone game planning for Michael Jordan more or for Scottie Pippen more? I'm pretty sure the other teams are game planning every single night more so for Michael Jordan than they are for Scottie Pippen. I'm not saying they're not worried about Scottie Pippen. They don't game plan for him, or he's not mentioned in the game plan. But we all know that most of the game plan is focused around Michael Jordan if you're an opposing team coming in. That's why I laugh when I hear a lot of these players talk about, yeah, man, we weren't worried about Michael Jordan. It was Scottie Pippen we were worried about. That's a bunch of BS, man. Y'all living in a fantasy land. You're trying to rewrite history. You're telling me, you're trying to have me believe that the other team's game plans were more focused on Scottie Pippen. You were more worried about Scottie Pippen than you were Michael Jordan, the game's greatest player at that time. It's a bunch of lies, man. It's a bunch of lies. Once again, trying to rewrite their history. The facts remain. When Rasheed Wallace makes statements like that, and you hear other people make these crazy statements about Scottie Pippen guarding the other players, other team's best perimeter players, and somehow that takes away from Michael Jordan. No, that doesn't. That's why Scottie Pippen was there. You're literally giving Scottie Pippen credit for doing what he was supposed to be doing. That's why he was there. What else was he there for? He was there to play defense and to what? Run the triangle. Be the point forward, so to speak, in the triangle offense. Be Michael Jordan's helper. The sidekick to Michael Jordan. Don't forget that. The sidekick to Michael Jordan. Never the leader, never the alpha on that team, never the enforcer, never none of those things. He was never the closer for the Bulls, the go-to guy in the clutch. He was not that guy. He wasn't the one that they were scared of. It was Michael Jordan that they were scared of. He was the one that was on these guys, pushing them, just like he was pushing Scottie Pippen. So once again, they're trying to talk about Scottie Pippen guarding other teams' best perimeter players on a nightly basis to help Michael Jordan, and they're giving him credit for doing that, and that's what he was supposed to do. That's what Scottie Pippen did for Michael Jordan. That was the greatness of the dynamic between them. Scottie Pippen allowed Michael Jordan to take other guys on defense, to not always have to guard the best perimeter player, to have to use all of that energy on the defensive side night in and night out every single season. It allowed Michael Jordan to take a breather on the bench and not have the game get out of hand. These are the kinds of things that Scottie Pippen allowed Michael Jordan to do. But now they want you to believe that he was doing that because he was greater than Michael Jordan at defense. That's not the facts. Rasheed Wallace can't give you any evidence to support Scottie Pippen being a greater defensive player than Michael Jordan because there is no evidence to support that. The numbers don't support it. The accolades that they earned in their careers don't support that. The effectiveness of Michael Jordan on the defensive end late in his career was greater than Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan's defensive longevity was greater than Scottie Pippen's, guys. It just was. Just look at the, like I said, look at the video footage and look at what they were able to do at the age they were able to do. The durability of Michael Jordan, the toughness of Michael Jordan was greater. Don't forget, Michael Jordan was a greater athlete than Scottie Pippen, which allowed him or helped him become a greater defender than Scottie Pippen. Once again, this is not like, oh, Scottie Pippen was a crap defender. Scottie Pippen was an elite defender, top 10 all-time defensive player. But to me, Michael Jordan's arguably a top 5 all-time defensive player. And some people argue Michael Jordan is the greatest defensive player of all time. Now, I've never said that on this channel, but once again, you can argue Michael Jordan is a top 3, top 5 defensive player, and he's arguably, like I said, the greatest defender at his position and one of the greatest defenders of all time. Scottie Pippen, to me, is up there in that conversation of a top 10 defensive player of all time. The dynamic between them is not that wide or vast, but Michael Jordan was just greater at these things. He was a greater athlete. Like I said, he had greater intensity. All right, so these are the things that we allude to, and to me, his IQ on the defensive end was a little bit greater than Scottie Pippen's also. So once again, when Rasheed Wallace is making these statements, he's trying to make you believe that Scottie Pippen was guarding the other team's best players because he was the better defender, when in reality, he was doing his job helping Michael Jordan and preserving Michael Jordan's energy for the offensive end. And let's think about this now. Why would Michael Jordan have to preserve his energy for the offensive end? Now, on this channel, I've told you what? Michael Jordan carried the Bulls offensively. Offensively, he carried the Bulls night in and night out, guys. Night in and night out, year after year, leading the league in scoring. Why do you think he was doing these things? Because he had to. There was no one else on the team that could score at a high amount, more consistently, guys, at a high level. Scottie Pippen was never that dude. He could score the ball, but not at a high level consistently. Never had a consistent jump shot. So when we think about Michael Jordan, he often had that burden. But a lot of times when people don't think about, and what Rasheed Wallace won't mention or talk about when he talks about the defensive end and what Scottie Pippen did for Michael Jordan, is what I was mentioning and alluding to, the game plan of the other teams. So, like I mentioned, was Scottie Pippen going against the other team's greatest perimeter defenders? No, he wasn't. That was Michael Jordan on a night in and night out basis. He was the guy going against the elite defensive guys every single night. He was the one drawing the double and triple teams every single night, not Scottie Pippen. So, who's having an easier time on the offensive end? Michael Jordan going against the elite defenders, night in and night out, double, triple teams, having the team's game plan against you, trying to trap you and get the ball out of your hands, make it difficult on you. Teams want to pound you and make it physical game for you. Or Scottie Pippen, the guy who's benefiting from all that help or all that attention that Michael Jordan's getting. Scottie Pippen's a beneficiary of all of that space, all of that what? Wide openness. People forgetting about Scottie Pippen on the offensive end. Scottie Pippen getting a lot of layups and dunks, a lot of opportunities to score the basketball. But Michael Jordan having to do all of these things while facing against the other team's great defensive players, the best defenders they got. People be like, oh, Michael Jordan went against this guy. They went against that guy. And they'll try to name some, obscure play that maybe you never heard of or you're not familiar with if you didn't watch the 80s and the 90s. But what they forget to mention is, once again, the effort that these guys gave consistently. These guys gave effort against Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't out there half-stepping, and they weren't half-stepping against Michael Jordan. He wasn't going against guys lollygagging and taking him lightly. He was Michael Jordan. Every night he had to bring it because they were going to bring it. The Vernon Maxwells and the Gerald Wilkins, the John Starkses, the Nate McMillans. Some of these guys that you don't remember, that you probably forgot about. They weren't the big-name, flashy guys on the defensive end, the big-name shooting guards. But these guys went out there and gave the effort. The Nick Andersons, the Hersey Hawkins, right? The Stacey Augmans, the Kendall Gills. These guys went out there and they gave the effort against Michael Jordan night in and night out. And no, maybe you don't know them. Yeah, maybe they were the Hall of Famers and they didn't make a bunch of all-defensive teams. Because once again, the era they played in, they were great, all-time great defenders at these positions. And every single night was a test for Michael Jordan to go against these guys because they were going to bring it. It wasn't just Reggie Miller and Mitch Richmond, right? It wasn't just Joe Dumars, right? It wasn't just those guys, a Latrell Sprewell or an Allen Houston. It was other guys that he was going against. Like I said, the guys that maybe you forgot about, but they went out there and they gave that consistent effort. And he had a battle against them. They gave the physicality. That's Michael Jordan, guys. This is why he's respected the way he is. Because I told you, it was never about the name on the back of the jersey for Michael Jordan. It was never about that. It was the competition. I told you, it didn't matter if it was Danny Ainge or Dan Marley. It didn't matter if it was Jeff Hornacek. It didn't matter who it was, some of these other guys that I mentioned. It didn't matter if it was Joe Dumars or Dennis Rodman or Sidney Moncrief or Alvin Robertson. It didn't matter who it was. He was going to bring it every single night because they were going to bring it because they knew they were going against Michael Jordan. That was a reputation that he earned, that he established. So in that essence, his reputation preceded him. So every night that he stepped onto the floor, whatever city he came to, he had to show up and he had to bring it. And no, maybe there were some nights that Michael Jordan didn't have it offensively. He had an off night, so to speak. There were other things that Michael Jordan did on the basketball court, guys, to be effective at a high level that Rasheed Wallace won't mention. The rebounding of Michael Jordan, one of the great rebounders at his position, right? The defense of Michael Jordan that he's trying to knock, right? The leadership of Michael Jordan that he won't mention ever, galvanizing his teammates, the coachability of Michael Jordan, allowing guys like Phil Jackson, Doug Collins to be great, to coach him, right? Sacrifices of Michael Jordan that he made to Scottie Pippen. So that years later, a fool like Rasheed Wallace, who ain't been known for nothing but running his mouth and getting technical fouls in his career, this dude's going to come out here all these years later and try to talk about Scottie Pippen was a better defender. He was guarding other teams' better perimeter defenders. Michael Jordan wasn't doing that because Michael Jordan couldn't. No, because Michael Jordan had other things to do. Michael Jordan was carrying a lot more of the weight than Scottie Pippen. I can't stand this fact that these guys try to make you believe and make it seem as if Scottie Pippen was carrying more weight than Michael Jordan was. Stop that nonsense. Y'all got to stop this. You people sound like a bunch of fools, man. A bunch of goofs out here. Ex-NBA players, and I got to break the game down to you? Who the hell was Scottie Pippen going against? He wasn't going against the best perimeter players every single night. He wasn't having teams game plan against him every single night, and you should know that stuff. But instead, you want to run your mouth and talk about Scottie Pippen playing defense against the other perimeter players, helping Michael Jordan, doing what he's supposed to do, Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan did so much for Scottie Pippen, and Rasheed Wallace wants to boil it down to, well, Michael Jordan couldn't guard like Scottie Pippen. He had to carry all the weight from Michael Jordan. He was doing all the work. Like Michael Jordan was standing around on defense. Like Michael Jordan was some guy that was never recognized as a great defensive player. They're trying to make you believe that Michael Jordan did nothing on defense, that he needed those guys. Michael Jordan played defense. He gave effort. It didn't matter who he was going against. It didn't matter who it was. Michael Jordan showed up like he was out there getting abused by guys. He was locking dudes down. He was making them earn it. And there's no way that Scottie Pippen was a greater defensive player than Michael Jordan was. And this was, Rasheed Wallace wants you to believe. And once again, Rasheed Wallace, you're not educating anyone out there. He continues to lie about Michael Jordan. And the dynamic between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, the dynamic that Michael Jordan had on the Chicago Bulls, what he meant to that team, the impact he had on the defensive end. Michael Jordan was consistently great on defense because he consistently gave the effort on defense. He had the athleticism to be great, the body type, the long arms, the big hands. He had the instincts on defense, the high IQ on defense, which is why he made the play at the end of 1998. Not Scottie Pippen. It was Michael Jordan that made that play on Karl Malone. Not Scottie Pippen. It was Michael Jordan. It was Michael Jordan who Phil Jackson put on Reggie Miller in Game 7 of the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. Not Scottie Pippen. It was Michael Jordan that he put on Reggie Miller in the fourth quarter of that game. Once again, it was Michael Jordan who was guarding Gary Payton when Ron Harper went down. He took that responsibility on. It was always Michael Jordan, guys. They never talk about the 1991 NBA Finals. Oh, Scottie Pippen was... Michael Jordan guarded Magic Johnson more often than Scottie Pippen did. And once again, when people try to make it seem as if Michael Jordan couldn't guard Magic Johnson and he was struggling against Magic Johnson, so what? Who cares? It's Magic Johnson. That's supposed to be an insult on Michael Jordan that he struggled, and Magic Johnson, the game's greatest player, a point guard in the history of the game, one of probably a top 5, easily a top 10 player in the history of the game. Michael Jordan, we're supposed to be upset that Magic Johnson was giving Michael Jordan the business from time to time in the 91 NBA Finals? Really? That's supposed to be an insult to Michael Jordan's defensive abilities? He was abusing Scottie Pippen out there. He was abusing everybody out there. That's the whole point. He's Magic Johnson, damn it. Don't take away from Magic Johnson's greatness to try to cheapen Michael Jordan. Oh, man, he was out there getting beat by Magic Johnson. He could have stopped Magic. No one can stop Magic Johnson. He's Magic Johnson. That's the whole point. He's supposed to struggle against Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's a true competitor, man. That's not a knock on Michael Jordan's defense. I don't know how all of a sudden all of these things have become a knock on Michael Jordan's greatness. The 1-9 without Pippen. All of a sudden now, losing to some of the most legendary teams in the history of the NBA as a young NBA player coming in, battling when you have really no significant help and you're going through a rebuild as a young player. That's supposed to be a knock on Michael Jordan's career now all of a sudden for going through the grind and earning his rings. That's insane to me. This is why we appreciate and respected Michael Jordan. This is why his career is the way it is and looked at the way it is. Because he earned it. He went through the fire, through the grind, against some of the greatest teams and the greatest players in the history of the game. Magic Johnson. Oh, he was getting beat. Like Magic Johnson's nobody. Like he's just some also-ran, just some other guy. Oh, he could have stopped Magic Johnson. He was getting in foul trouble on Magic Johnson. No duh. It's Magic Johnson. Why do you think Magic Johnson was using his back to Michael Jordan if he won the 91 Finals? That's what you'll notice. Magic Johnson used his size, right, and would turn his back to Michael Jordan often and use his court vision, his ability to look over the top of Michael Jordan, right, and use Michael Jordan's aggression against him. This is Magic Johnson, you fools. He's a savvy champion. I mean, my goodness. Once again, trying to take away from another great player to knock Michael Jordan. You see what I'm saying, guys? They'll take away from the entire era and tell you Michael Jordan wasn't that great. And here goes Rasheed Wallace, once again, not giving you the facts. He won't talk about Scottie Pippen not going against the other team's great defensive players in every single night. It was Michael Jordan that they came with the Jordan rules for, was it? Was it not? Not the Scottie Pippen rules. But Rasheed Wallace won't talk about that. So who's spending more energy on the offensive end? Who has to do more on the offensive end? Who has to do more overall? Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen? They want you to believe it was Scottie Pippen. Like Michael Jordan was doing nothing out there on the court except for shoot the ball. And they act like he wasn't going against the best of defenders that the other team had to give. Remember, it didn't matter who it was, guys. Whoever was guarding Michael Jordan from the other team, the coach thought that was their best defensive option at that time. And what I tell you guys, there was no one type of play you could put on Michael Jordan. So that's why I laugh when you hear people say, oh, he was being guarded by 6'3" guys or 6'4" guys. Yeah, no duh. Because if you put a 6'8" guy or 6'7" guy on Michael Jordan, he'd go right by him. Like they were standing still, guys. That's the call the black cat. Why do you think he's got these nicknames? Michael Jordan's nicknames are apropos to his game, his overall game. The Black Cat, Air Jordan, right? Black Jesus. This is what Michael Jordan earned. His nicknames are apropos to him. When they say the Black Cat, Michael Jordan, I've never seen anyone with a quick first step or quicker first step than Michael Jordan, guys. To me, it's second to none in the history of the game. His quickness off that step, he would leave guys flat-footed. So they would have to put smaller, quicker guys on Michael Jordan, the point guards of the world, the smaller guys that have quicker feet. They had to put those kinds of players on Michael Jordan and rotate. So, yeah, you mix it up. You put a point guard on Michael Jordan. You put a smaller, quicker guy on Michael Jordan. Then all of a sudden, you put a small forward, a power forward I've seen on Michael Jordan, man. Are you kidding me? You mixed it up. There was no one type of defender to go against Michael Jordan, man. So once again, this is what Michael Jordan was dealing with on the offensive end, night in and night out, having to bring it night in and night out. That wasn't Scottie Pippen. He didn't have that responsibility of a Michael Jordan. What they're talking about, Scottie Pippen guarding the other team's best perimeter player on a consistent basis, helping Michael Jordan, that may have been so from time to time during that second three-peat. But more often than not, when we talk about the first three-peat, those first seasons with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen together, Michael Jordan was out there doing his thing, man, locking up the man that he was supposed to be guarding who he was supposed to guard. That's the way it went, guys. It wasn't just Scottie Pippen guarding guys a whole game. This is what they're making you believe. They're trying to rewrite their history. Those aren't the facts. Those are not the facts, guys. I told you guys, Michael Jordan could do whatever he wanted out there on the basketball court, guys. Michael Jordan was guarding Vlade Divac in the 91 finals. Now, can Michael Jordan guard centers? No, he can't. But he was doing these things from time to time on switches, things of that nature. Michael Jordan had, like I said, the IQ to play defense at a high level, not just on ball, but team defense, help defense, all these different aspects of the defensive end. And like I said, the intensity and the effort that he gave, guys, allowed him and earned him the respect of being an all-time great defensive player. Greater than Scottie Pippen was. And Scottie Pippen was an all-time great defender. An elite-level defensive player, Scottie Pippen. To me, probably the greatest defensive small forward in the history of the game. He's up there with the John Havliceks and a Kawhi Leonard, maybe. But Scottie Pippen was that dude, man. Ain't no one taking away from Scottie Pippen. But once again, we can't rewrite history. It's Michael Jordan, guys. Look at Michael Jordan in the second three-peat. He was great on defense still, man. He gave the effort. No, yes, Michael Jordan needed some time off. He couldn't be guarding all the guys all the time and scoring all the points all the time. You got to pick one. Which one you want to do? Can't do both all the time for all those years. And he was still elite, though. He wasn't taking off on defense. He was still playing defense. Just because you're not playing the best perimeter player on the other team doesn't mean anything. Because let's be real here. Back in them days, not every team had a stout offensive perimeter guy, or that was their best player. A lot of teams' best players was a post player or a center, a power forward. So Scottie Pippen wasn't even going against the best player. Technically, he was going against maybe their most effective perimeter scorer or their most effective perimeter player. Maybe that's their best player. But Michael Jordan was playing defense out there. He wasn't walking around, standing around with his hands on his hips. He was actually playing defense. I told you, it was never about the name on the back of the jersey for Michael Jordan. It didn't matter who he was guarding or who was guarding him. He was going to give the effort. He was going to what? Compete, guys. Compete. That's the bottom line here. Rasheed Wallace, Michael Jordan was a true competitor, man. Stop trying to make it seem like Michael Jordan wasn't, and he was out there going through the motions, and Scottie Pippen was carrying more weight and saving him on the defensive end. Scottie Pippen did what he had to do and helped Michael Jordan the way he was supposed to help Michael Jordan. Once again, you show me anyone else doing what Michael Jordan was doing. Once again, Michael Jordan being held to a high standard, guys. These are the facts. And these are once again, have to educate an ex-NBA player that should know better, that should know more, that should understand this. But these guys are doing, they did not watch this stuff growing up. They don't care to know the history of the NBA, and they're not being honest with you. They don't want to be honest with you because they want to just continue to talk about Michael Jordan, always talking about Michael Jordan. Stop talking about Michael Jordan if you don't know about Michael Jordan. They just sound ridiculous. Scottie Pippen, he had to guard the other team's best player. Yeah, because Michael Jordan wasn't doing anything out there, right? He was out there loudly gagging. You guys sound ridiculous, man. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.